Worry President Obama, Senate Majority Leader Reid, and Minority Leader Pelosi, because today at about 3 p.m., 6 more states asked to join in the Florida lawsuit against the federal government, bringing the total number of states in that lawsuit to 26. Now, that is more than 50% of the states. Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi joins us live, and she is now spearheading this litigation. Good evening, Pam.
Good evening, Greta. Thanks for having me on.
It's a pleasure to see you. All right, you have more states that you've added, or at least they're asking permission to be added. They have not officially been added. Is that right?
Well, yes, they have. We filed the motion today asking that the judge add them into the lawsuit, and that shouldn't be a problem at all.
Is the federal government opposing that request to add these additional states, or are they saying, fine, they'll go along with this?
They're opposing it, but I don't think they're not going to get anywhere on them. We're going to be fine adding the states. We've added 6 states, and we're so pleased about the states that we've added. We've added Kansas, which has a new Attorney General, Derek Schmidt. We've added Ohio, which has an interesting twist because Mike DeWine is a former U.S. Senator. So Mike can really bring a unique perspective to the lawsuit because he truly knows the limited powers of Congress regarding our Constitution. We've also added Wisconsin with J.B. Van Hollen. Now, J.B. has been an Attorney General, but he needed a new governor to give him permission to join in the lawsuit. Then we added Maine, which is Bill Schneider, and that's an interesting dynamic, Greta. I think we've talked about this before because he had to be appointed by the legislature, which are now Republicans, and we know traditionally Maine is a very moderate state. We've also added Iowa with the governor, Terry Branstad, and really most exciting, we've added Wyoming, because right now the governor has signed on, but in March, Greg Phillips, who is a Democrat, will be sworn in as Attorney General, and he is committed to joining the lawsuit with us. So now we have 26 states. We have 2 Democrats because we also have Buddy Caldwell in Louisiana. And this really shows today that this filing is about that our freedom and our rights have trumped politics and policy. And I think it's just a refreshing reflection, Greta, on all of us.
You know, I think a couple of interesting things. Number one is that you may take it as routine, but the fact that the federal government is likely to oppose adding these additional suits when it really is no skin off their teeth, it's not going to mean more work for the federal government. But that does send a signal because they know they're going to lose, but they're going to take that sort of oppositional position anyway, not to add them. The other thing, too, is that you have 26 states, which is more than half, but you've also got out there Virginia. There's a lawsuit in Missouri. I mean, there's a growing number of states who are saying to the federal government, we just don't want this, or we can't do this.
That's right, Greta, and we also have my friend Scott Pruitt in Oklahoma who will be filing. He's committed. He's already spoken publicly about it. He will be filing his own lawsuit in Oklahoma. So we will have over 28 states. And if that doesn't send a strong bipartisan message to Congress, I don't know what does.
Now, the motion for summary judgment, which is where this thing will be decided at the trial court level, there's not going to be a trial, but all the states and the federal government have already had the argument. It's now sitting with your federal judge to make a decision, which will be the final decision at your trial level. Has the judge given you any indication of when he expects to rule?
We anticipate he will rule within the next couple weeks. I would anticipate by the end of this month. So we should have a ruling from Judge Vinson, and then I'm sure there'll be appeals and cross appeals. We will end up in the 11th Circuit, and then we will make it to the Supreme Court. I am confident of that.
Well, the other sort of interesting thing about it is that there's a special provision in the Supreme Court rules in which they can reach down and get it, or you can ask permission and bypass the appeals court and go straight from the trial court to the Supreme Court. Everyone knows this is going to be decided in the Supreme Court. The federal government has indicated that it still wants to go through the Court of Appeals. But since the Supreme Court's going to decide this, are you willing to ask to bypass and get the decision decided quickly from the Supreme Court rather than go through the other hoops of the appellate court?
That's Rule 11. And what we must first do, of course, is wait on the ruling from Judge Benson to see how he rules. And then that is certainly something that we will immediately discuss with all the other states joining in our lawsuit and discuss using Rule 11 and asking the Supreme Court to take our case, absolutely.
All right, so
depending on the ruling.
What we're standing by in Florida then is whether Oklahoma joins in, when, and also a decision by the federal judge on the motion for summary judgment. Do you anticipate any more states, if any other states sort of even contacted you, state AGs, and said, look, we're thinking about it?
Yes, 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 and I'm not ready to say which ones, but yes, we have been in discussions with several more states. We're really in daily discussions with all of these states, and it's just been a great, united, bipartisan effort, and I'm so proud of the fact that so many of us have joined in this lawsuit.
Attorney General, thank you. I called you Pam off the top, but I've known you for 100 years. I'll get used to calling you Attorney General sooner or later, because you're in the title, so that's what I'm going to call you. So thank you for joining us.
No, please call me Pam. Thanks. Have a great night, Greg.